This one's got 33 pages total.
Yeah, we're good.
Reference page numbers, it'll match with this one.
Okay, thank you.
I think we were on what page?
11.
11.
So who's running the show
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
now?
So we're here. Zoom is on. We're here.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
Let's go.
fantastic. I still couldn't get into the Zoom, that's weird. Did John get it?
John's still giving me an error too, and so is that other person, but let me see if I can have them try again. So go ahead and continue. I have to let you present then, is that what we need to do?
Well, you said.
Okay.
Zoom is on.
Existing conditions, chapter 2.
Okay. Randy, go ahead, I can see now.
Oh, okay, well. Also having computer troubles.
Maybe it's a sign.
Yeah.
You know, what I would really like to talk about, if we, oh, it's finally on. I think it would be nice to get your reaction on the character districts near the end. And that, oh, the market summary, that's new, that's been updated. The vision and guiding principles we talked about, and those are basically same as the last time. And then here it is. So page, it's like 30. There should be a map. It's called a collection of districts. I wonder if it's because this file size is just so giant. It's just not looking right on my screen.
So that's where you, like, you got the Shifty's district.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was fewer districts before. I changed, if you were to view them side by side, you would see there was a little shifting of some of the line work. I tried to keep going through the area photograph and knowing what has changed. I tried to consolidate the districts in a way that made sense. So the downtown itself is that part of 7th Avenue that includes all of the business types or building types rather that have 0 setbacks. And then all of Margaret Street. And I think that's how it was before.
Sure.
And then your core employment districts are your more industrial area. And then kind of the core redevelopment areas, I guess you could call them, where Burwell is and just whatever is to the west of Market Street. I can't recall what that is right now. And then your Commerce Park redevelopment district is on the east side. That I extended it to the south end of the study area. It didn't seem to make any sense to leave out the southern half of 7th Avenue. And then on the west side, the Mcknight employment district shifts these, and then the 2 west end districts. And then on the following pages, there's descriptions of what each of those would include. And so I used as a starting point what was said, bullet points from that previous document. But I kind of gave some explanatory paragraphs as to what's, what is within each of those districts and how they should potentially move forward. So the Mcknight district, suggesting that it's support a combination of office flex, commercial employment uses. We talked about that educational component, like that trade school, and then strengthening the connections the downtown that is from the existing document. Downtown district, goals for that would be support side improvements and the upward expansion. So like if we wanted to have, take some of those single stories and allow them to expand to 2 or 3 stories in the downtown area to increase the density and create more office spaces and housing opportunities. Activate outdoor space like seating and sidewalk sales. So we had talked a lot about engaging people into the outside of the downtown area. Invest in streetscape improvements along 7th Avenue and develop a streetscape design plan for Margaret Street. I think that was from the previous plan. Cephala Boulevard. There's a suggestion to convert that to a pedestrian-friendly multifunctional corridor while maintaining alley and service functions. This is an idea that I had that I wanted to run by you. Bike Boulevard or Living Street would be an example of how Cephala could be transformed. So that would mean that you would kind of focus that as kind of a bike corridor or pedestrian corridor and really limit vehicular traffic with the exception of those people that actually have business on that road.
Well, that's where we do our mailboxes and everything else.
Yeah, I think my issue with that is, access to parking back there. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of parking, you said?
Yeah,
Behind the building.
Yep.
Got it. But it'd be, because it used to be one way. That's,
Well, it was always 2-way. Then it got switched to 1-way.
yeah.
yeah, so it was,
It was only
so
Margaret
right now
first.
it's 2 ways. But could it be 1 way, bikes and pedestrians? And cars, just like some lane, so then you have all 3 of them? You could, yeah.
On delivery trucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we were gonna propose a major change like that, I would, for one, we would have to have all the directly impacted businesses that also provide input. Yeah,
Because they moved those mailboxes.
It's used quite a bit for non-pedestrian traffic, I think, more than, but I'm sure it would be used if there was some sort of pedestrian friendly setup, like a designated path or elevated sidewalk, in the traditional sense. But I know when we switched it to 2-way, it was kind of controversial because there was questions about the impact of getting access to the post office boxes and just that general business back there, how people can get to those businesses. And it was told it was just temporary. It was meant to be an anticipation of increased traffic because of that Highway 120 or Highway 36 project. So upon completion, it never got changed back. And just for all that time, we were getting people, when is it going to change back? Some people liked it 1-way because I think it did cut back on some traffic, but I don't know. I think that one's something that we would have to look into a lot more and have like a public forum or, and not just those businesses, but people that use that, get some more feedback before we make a drastic change to cut off all traffic today. Because it just seems like it would not go very well with those businesses and the people that use that road.
So, yep, that makes sense. So try to find a way for all of the different transportation mechanisms to get that out of there.
Yeah, all the goals to be met, that's all.
Yep. Okay. Also was listed as gathering spaces, including a pocket park on the existing green space. So there is, it's called Central Park. And I don't, if you look at it from the air photo, it doesn't look like there's a lot going on there. And I think that would be your, in combination with whatever improvements you have in Central, that would be a nice place for the outside seating area that you guys can speak
It's
about.
basically where that bus stop is, and there's like a planter and there's grass.
Right over here. across the
Yeah,
street.
right across the street.
So a little
It's like
triangular, maybe
I
a,
think jokingly call it Beer Can Park because the bars are back there. But it's, and then Excel relocated some of those gaps.
Yeah.
So, and that's like, that's butts up to the back end of it. But it's always just kind of been like a part of the parking lot, I think. It predates me, but I just remember there was stores across the street. Like there used to be card king. Store cards or whatever.
And is that a different map than what I'm displaying?
oh,
I got used
we're
one.
looking
I'm
at
sure at some
page
point it
30.
did.
Sorry, I thought we were on page by page.
Oh.
I missed that.
Things got.
Oop. 30 of the document. Let's see. It's page 11. I know, but it's, the page numbers of the document are different, right? Than the packet, and we're looking at the packet. So that's why, yep, okay.
Yep.
There.
Just about there.
Oh,
There you go.
35, oh,
Oh, yeah, they're just there.
that one?
Yep. Right there. And so the last bullet point was promote deep paving to support a healthy stormwater sources and increase landscape areas. So that wasn't necessarily a specific location, but as opportunities arise, that would be the way to achieve some of those goals in the downtown. Stormwater.
The Living Streets plan refers a lot to the rain garden.
Okay. I'm having our stormwater engineer take a look at the, because one of the sections that are going to be coming in the next meeting is doing the stormwater and water sewer infrastructure. So I've had to do updates on those sections.
Aren't any rain guards being proposed? The new parking. But
We're gonna look at alternative.
Is this what you're talking about?
That's Monday.
so they're trying to maintain or add the amount of parking and how that's gonna be configured. But I don't remember seeing stuff like that. And the only reason I bring it up is just, it's kind of another example of like if Target was gonna do that, they come to us and then we reference the plan and say, well, you gotta have. But then when we do it, we don't follow those same guidelines. So
So what you're saying that Morgan's looking at that parking.
I don't know if he is. When we approved it, the council was just like, I think, some early on, just to get the ball rolling. I don't know if they have revised.
And I think he was gonna create another alternative for us to take a look at and kind of weigh the options.
I talked to him. I remember a couple of planning commission meetings back, and maybe it was one of the joint meetings where you talked about that. I remember it was specifically said that the amount of parking was, there would be some acceptance to reducing the amount of parking if you could increase the green space and increase the ability to move in and out of there easily and get the snow plows in and out of there. And also your electric vehicle charging opportunities. So I'll follow up with him to see where we are with that parking lot design. Okay, so then the next section was,
I think this is the right map instead of the other one, correct?
this is the old map.
Oh, got it, okay,
But we'll talk about that one in a little bit.
all right.
So then the Shipskis district, it's basically just Shipskis. And to be sensitive, it says She sees this as a business with a long history and deeply rooted in St. Paul. It continues to operate at this site and is presently understood that it meets the needs and demands of the business. So the bullet points would be plan for long-term redevelopment of the site, but recognize and mitigate the impacts of the business on the adjacent land uses in the meantime. And then seek redevelopment opportunities that can leverage the connections to the downtown and the Gateway Trail, and work with the property owner on the timing of redevelopment activities. If you guys are okay with that, we'll keep it as is. How do we feel?
It's a lot better than looking at that last map and just saying,
Yeah.
hey, you're not here.
Yeah.
And getting and saying, well, looks like I'm not in the city's plan.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a much better way of presenting it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think, again, people lose sight of this is a planning document. It's not meant,
Sure.
but the way it was approached last time just was a little rough around the edges. I think it ruffled feathers when it wasn't intended,
Mhm.
and that's all the reason I brought that feedback now, is to make sure that we don't do that again. And this is perfect.
Yeah,
Which-
I agree.
I think it's still gonna probably ruffle some people's feathers, but
Do we want to keep it called Shipsky's district or?
Yeah, no, I think that's,
I think that's the one, and we're consistent too, because we call it anchor block, right? It was the anchor block site, anchor development,
Okay,
and anchor drive,
okay, so West End mixed use district, so that's the yellow one on the bottom. And this one, it's a lot different looking on Google Maps when you're zoomed in really close to it, but I believe it's a bunch of single family houses that are kind of,
Oak Hill, right? Is that the Oak Hill?
Oh,
What is it? It's called Oak Hill Road, right? Oak Hill.
I don't remember.
I think you're right, Scott.
The,
And it doesn't show the topography, but basically where all those trees are, it's kind of like a steep
oh yes,
hill
that's what
going
that
up.
is. Yep.
yep,
And then there's like a little horseshoe road that goes in there, and there's a bunch of single family homes.
So when you're looking at the property boundaries, that whole block is wacky in terms of what has happened in the past.
Yep.
When it was originally platted to what is going on now. So there's some opportunities for, I think you could put any kind of residential that you would want on the southern half of that district. And then the northern half, I believe, is, I think it's all owned by rural, right?
Well,
no,
I think these parcels here, I think part of this is Burwell's land. This is a parking lot this is the old standard
yep,
conveyor.
yep.
So I think it goes right up to here.
Mhm.
And then the city owns,
The city
because they
is
did a
that,
land
yep.
swap with Mcknight Homes here. It's like a swap of land from here down to here, that they were gonna build single family homes on, but then they changed the plan. So the city owns that parcel.
you mean I was gonna build single family homes?
Yeah, they were I think they're gonna build single townhomes.
Oh, sure.
Maybe a couple of them, single family.
It is platted like single family.
Yeah, and then during the planning commission, the feedback was those are woods, don't cut it out. And so they did some land swap where they gave them some city land where they could continue with that big portion.
Okay, so,
And because we've had discussion about what we do with that land, that could potentially be HRA type single family home projects, but this the way it's shaped.
there's some slopes there too.
Giant retaining wall that was proposed, but it's just one plan. There's more than one way to build a house, more than one way to divvy up property. And,
So the bullet points that we have for this district that promote the district for mixed use development. I can see the southern half, single family staying, possibly single family in the north.
Yep.
There's kind of a lot of land to work with there. Another point is develop a neighborhood park as an amenity for surrounding residential uses. I think that came from your old plan. And I wanted to see if that's something that would be,
That'll keep the trees.
yeah, it could be
I mean,
Yeah, well, the problem is, I think it's just that whole, I mean, yeah, let's keep a park, but then it is just, it's like a steep hill and.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if you cleared everything out and did some grading and stuff, you could do something, but that kind of defeats the concern of the residents that. We don't want you tearing down. Our woods, it's not my backyard thing, but.
So a passive park might. be
Open
more
space
appropriate.
too, I think we get lost in that too, there's nothing wrong with just having open space, right? Or if that open space is a bunch of trees,
something
yeah, until something else comes along.
along, yeah,
And that's what I've always said to people, I mean, it's just my approach, like if I didn't want someone building in my backyard and the property came up for sale, I'd be all over it and buy it myself, because that's how you have complete control.
Mhm.
You can't tell someone else what to do with their land. It's different if the city acquires it, because then we have an obligation to hold public hearings and get feedback. The developer goes in. They want to do that.
so that's all zoned residential too then?
I believe
Okay.
it is, but
I think it's mixed.
mixed
Mixed
use.
use?
Mixed.
Oh, okay,
I think it falls in.
So
there.
It's either-
Yeah. that was really rough.
Well, the zoning is different though, so it's one of the two mixed use districts, I can't recall which, is probably in M3.
And we might have even made that section that we did the land swap. When we updated the zoning overlay, I think we might have changed it from, is it M1 is single family to M2, which is allows for townhomes,
I think it's
or
M3.
M3, okay.
MU2, there's like very few properties zoned by the city. I think that you didn't even think about it not being zoned park.
Does the M9, does it have a park in its own area inside of it?
No,
I
they,
wasn't sure.
that urban ecology center played into that. They counted that as the city
Mhm.
park. I recall, if I recall correctly. So they kind of got away from that requirement of, but I think they gave something else, I think it's because it was a PUD, so they had that. There was some horse trading going on with, well, how much open space do we have to have? Because there's all this open space across Mcknight. So they paid park dedication fees to make up for it, I think. is-
Yeah.
It's in our code where if you can't do it because of the density, then you pay for it.
Oh, so there is that option.
Yeah, they could have just said, all right, well, what's ours, but they're looking at it from, we need to develop, we can maximize, we don't want to have an acre of open space in the middle of our project that would eliminate, probably 10 townhome developments, which would be, up to 40 units.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, good to know.
So I think that's why we put it in there, because before we never had a park dedication fee when it came to this kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I think I hear that we want to keep the lots that are woods as a wooded area and suggest that it be retained as a park.
How big is it? Kind of like 8, 9 acre.
It's probably 1 to 1.5, maybe 2 altogether.
It's completely empty right now.
Yeah,
It's just wooded, yeah, it's mostly wooded area.
it's only an acre?
well, I'm guessing. It's probably like 5 single-family lots that are maybe 40 feet wide apiece.
Okay, yep,
I mean, you can pull up a GIS map and scroll in and see, I mean, they.
Want me to do that?
100% accurate? No, you don't. have to.
Okay.
You can go through that and click on, where the shifts, where Burwell's on their land, where the city's land is, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, I think they're about old school methods. There's quite a few people, and I agree with that. Everyone's got a price, right?
yep,
But a lot of these old school guys, they don't sell land. They just, they buy land and then they sit on it because there's always someone wanting land. And it is like, well, yeah, everything's for sale, but then they want something.
Yeah.
How serious are you? Because, this parcel of land, I think, is worth $1 million. I mean, it's just kind of. So who knows, what their
you hold on to it long enough, and maybe somebody's desperate enough to pay what your problem is. You got holding costs going on.
Okay, so here. Not that I think I'll just pass this around just to show people quick. So here's that land, right? Here's the back of the Burwell building. This is that stretch that Burwell owns right here, this first parcel. It's kind of odd shaped. These are the city parcels that we traded with M&I. But see, the city owns this corner lot here. You'll see the electric department up there training. So they own that lot, and then the city owns all these 0 ones. And so it's actually like 7 lots, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you can see how they're all, and this
They're
had something to
really
do with the
narrow lots,
railroad
too.
back in the day. Like these were all, in,
Oh, okay.
but that's how that's broken up. And I
Yeah, I bet you they're, what, 60-foot
Yeah.
long or
the
50 foot
acre
long?
owned that lot before.
Okay.
That's why they pulled that
Okay.
move where they said, well, fine, we won't develop this. And then I don't know what the exact deal was. Sorry.
Oh, I know, I've
Yeah.
been studying this.
But that's for Lisa. This is the lot there that Burwell owns. I mean, it's hard to see on there. But the other lots that the city owns basically goes from that new road that comes out from the way down.
Yeah,
That's where the,
So Burwell's ends about the railroad, trail.
exactly.
Yeah, where that new road comes out. It's not on that map.
they're coming down.
You can see it here.
Here in City Hall.
This is that new road that comes in there. Development.
You have to literally,
Oh, I
See,
know.
here's the top
Look back.
one. That's where
Here's
the
a
road comes
roundabout.
out. That's the
That
road
was
was all
all-
across it. All these city lots. are-
Yeah, I came out of a quick trip.
Oh, yeah,
Up to
this is-
7, so you gotta,
Yeah, so,
they forget about you over in that little corner on 3rd.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
so everybody starts going, I'm here.
so I think the intent was that it be a mixed use district, so it has the flexibility to build as a combination of both residential and whether it's come or on the north end. And the West End Employment District, the pink. Presently, that is. So it's adjacent to, I think on the south end of that, you've got some townhomes, I think they might be. To the south of the district. I don't know if they're senior or not. That are kind of adjacent to 7th Avenue. And then the pink area, so your public works building is just to the west, east of it.
East of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it's. I can't remember what that is.
That's
So I
the
said
public works
presently a
building,
mix
isn't it?
of service and industrial uses.
That's the public works, so we just had your push or
Yeah.
something.
Right where the cursor is, and
Okay.
then that area just to the south of that is Penn Place, and that is senior condos. And then there's a senior apartment building along 7th as well.
Cottages, is that what
Yeah.
they're called? Or is that the one over by Target?
No, that's the one by Target.
Yeah.
So the pink, and perhaps we change this, the name of this to maybe Burwell's district. Well, I don't know, because Burwell has a lot of land. But my narrative here says that it's another longstanding company and owner, and they hold most of the land within this area. So,
Okay, yeah, so that
So
looks like it's like set or custom millwork.
yeah,
Is that one of the buildings? But I think Burwell owns that building.
yep, right behind the public works,
And then
and then the old
Across.
employment,
that's,
Office.
yeah, that's Burwell owns that. That was at
Yep.
Ramsey County.
yeah.
Workforce Center. I mean, if you're, that's what I'm saying, this GIS map. You just click on it and it tells you the taxpayer. Now that's only as up to date as, like, if it's sold recently, it's not gonna be on there, but
Sure.
it's. Burwell. I mean, they own a lot of land in town, so yeah, maybe that might make sense to call it the Burwell.
well, let's put a pin in that because there's more of their stuff included on the east side. So here we're suggesting that we promote this as another mixed use development area. Consider vacating unused alley and street right of way to enhance redevelopment opportunities. What do I mean by that? Oh, yeah, there's got, I believe a road in there that doesn't exist. anymore.
It's a private road
Oh, okay.
and it was supposed to be turned back to the city. I actually think they did.
Oh, I
They did
see.
that like little house cleaning thing a couple years ago. But
Okay.
yeah, it's not, it doesn't come up on our map as a road because it was always a private road. Because those individual units are owned individually. Those are all. I don't think they're all slab on grade. I think the same guy built.
Yeah,
these.
my father-in-law lived in that
Yeah. It was,
development
I
there.
think it was Mcknight who did it actually. He built the cottages and then he built these when they were doing 10 plates and stuff. I think he was a developer. But they're just, they don't have basements, right? They're just
Nope.
slab on grade.
Yep.
But they're owned individually by each person, but there's like.
They pay
homeowners,
HOA.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
HOA.
Is that in front of the senior condos?
Yep, Penn Place. So this is like, so here's second, that they're talking about, here's Penn Place, that L shape, but the elevation change from up here to down here is quite drastic.
It is.
Pick it up on this map.
The elevation between what and what?
Well, like, so Penn Place apartments aren't in there, in this district, you got it.
Yep.
But the elevation change from like the southwest corner all the way to the northeast corner is quite a bit. I mean, it's like what is it, 5-story building? There's 4 or 5, maybe there's 6.
So
But when you come
7th
over to
Avenue.
the south
to the
end, it
north.
only looks like it's a 2-story building.
Got
You go around the back. It's a whole,
It is a,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's a firefight.
Yeah, I've only seen one of them.
Walking through the front, it looks like a split level, which you go around back and it's 3-4 stories, because it's built into a hill. But that I think is a challenge for that area. It's just what can you build on there with the apartments seem to fit well, but I don't know.
well, that would be one of those ones where if you were to build apartment buildings, you'd have underground parking for sure, because it would be easy just to build it right into the hill.
And I think Penn Place don't they have they have a garage.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
And it is, I
Yep.
think that's what they built most of them in that hill there.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Okay, core employment reinvestment districts, that's the core areas. So we've got the east and west side, we've got 4. What we've got in the east side right now, sorry, the west side is Lionsgate Academy and North Metro Flex Academy. So I said that at present, the building uses seem to be mismatched from the amount of surface parking on the site, so there seems to be an opportunity to reevaluate the capacity of the buildings based on versus how much parking you're using. And the east side, that's a lot of brown all over there, and then there's chiropractor or psychiatrist's office, I think.
Tyra is over there,
What is
and Tyra.
in Tyra?
Yeah, that's a whole medical, but I think, Burwell, the ones that building, it's everyone. I think that whole blue, that east part, that's where like City Hall is.
Yep.
But I mean, the only other private businesses in that stretch, I think, are,
Well, actually, City Hall's in the pink.
always in the big, okay, yeah, it is. But that whole stretch there, that's,
Except for there's a medical clinic, I think. Is that the entire that you were talking
yeah,
about?
Burwell owns that building too.
Burwell owns the entire building?
Yeah.
Oh,
So they own pretty much everything there except
So did Burwald, did he act as a developer and develop that building?
I think it's just, if you were to look at the photo, it looks historic. Or not entirely. I was thinking of the one on the corner of
Oh,
Charles, maybe.
Okay, so that's 2601. That is the medical office. It's, yeah, they built that whole, I think they bought, maybe they own the land that Hardee's is on too, I don't know. I mean,
well, we tried to buy Hardee's,
Okay,
but the city gave, or, Wally was, the parking code had changed and Hardee's did not have, for the number of seats in the restaurant, did not have enough parking, but it was grandfathered in. We tried to buy them.
and they told you no.
And they told us no, because we were gonna build or we were gonna convert the building and too many seats and we didn't have enough parking.
Interesting.
So Burwald, if he bought it, he had to buy it after that.
Well, it says Burwald LLC.
Yeah.
The taxpayer.
And
No,
did
they
that
don't
have
know.
something to do with the bus swap as well? And that's why they just finally got this platted as the Burwald edition, and that had been in the works for 10 years.
Yeah, so at the old
Right.
city hall, they need to acquire land, and they did that, and they had this land swap agreement, and then it got squared away when the bus garage sold.
Yeah.
Because where the Burwalds took that land and then the other adjacent land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good luck trying to find any documentation, because it was all just handshake deals and whatever. But, so where the entire clinic is now, there used to be like I think it was just a single story, like a strip mall type thing in that empty lot that's in between shifts or sidewinders and then what's it go to? It's just,
It used to be the old antique mall.
no,
No.
that used to be the medical clinic, and that's where they were officed out of. So that's when this whole thing went down, and they were looking to leave, and so Burwald's kind of built the building to suit.
Okay.
And now that's where the dental office that was downtown, now he moved over there. That was part of the deal, because Burwald's need to acquire their land, and they said, hey, you'll stay in town, you're in this nice new building, first level access. You know, but that, I think, was the brainchild of, hey, let's build a medical facility, because that's a desirable thing. And then,
So Burwald was developed.
Evidently.
and then, yeah, so. and all through. But yeah, that whole, you might as well call that Burwald. Burwald redevelopment district, Roman numeral 2. And I think they know this stuff too, but they're just, like I said, they're old school guys. And, you know, if they're, whoever's taking over, if they feel the same way or not, but you could see in the next 10 years, I don't, Gary Mulcahy's the same way, he doesn't want to sell anything. You know?
What's he doing now?
Not quite the Burwald, but I mean, we could go through, I mean, that, Lions Gate, he actually did sell that, that's what we had to move. Because we're in that lower atrium building, that's what I used to call atrium, and that upper one is the, charter school, what's their name? I just said it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, North Metro Flex.
And he owns the
They run-
property right
Gary owns
behind.
it. He owns everything up to the back of our buildings here behind Bigley's.
Okay, behind that
All the
park.
land, but
Yeah.
yeah, that whole parking lot, he owns that, it butts right up to the land that's across the street here. So that's where, you know, if there's gonna be development, I think that Thor project that came in, they were trying to communicate with him, like, hey, we're looking to do this, but we need some of your land, and he just says, no. And he wants to come in and do it. Well, you can't blame him, but that's, I think, part of the reason why people wanna have, you know, private meetings, but the problem is when it's city-owned land, it all kind of gets thrown out the window, you know? But
Yeah, because right now
he's
we
gonna control what goes on over whatever goes on there. He's gonna have to play ball with it. Or he's gonna do it himself.
we have or someone is inquiring about the, you probably learned that from the last, EDA meeting. They're proposing an apartment complex in that
similar to what was originally
Where
proposed,
are
I'm
you?
sure.
Correct.
Where's that at?
It's right across the street here.
Here,
Right, yeah, right across the
Yeah.
street.
So,
Oh, we have dental offices for it?
yep,
so the city owned the middle parcel.
So it's,
then they recently acquired both those down lots.
parking area right now?
we use it for a parking area. Yeah. I don't think it's paved though. No, yeah, it's not, it's so, we use it as a parking lot, but it's not officially a parking lot. Yeah, yeah, for the construction project.
He was looking at a 4-story with just a little bit of retail in
Oh,
it.
okay.
And part of it was under building parking, and then the back strip that backs up to Mulcahy's property was a lot with angle parking.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Is that still in play? Don't know.
I don't,
Yeah,
I-
we don't
it
know.
was-
what's still-
that was a proposal at the EDA meeting in, 3 weeks ago?
Okay, well, that fits in with your downtown district.
Are we moving on to the downtown district then?
Sure. That one's on. Yeah, so the downtown, I think, is really the intent here is to keep your downtown the downtown and just keep doing what you're doing in terms of promoting businesses coming in and increasing your density wherever you can. So we talked about Sepulveda.
Father-in-law's building itself?
Pardon?
Is your father-in-law building itself?
There's a deal on the table with the EDA is involved with the Port Authority. I have to abstain from that. But they came back with a counter offer. So, and I don't know where we're at
Okay.
on the
It's
counter
in the
offer.
process.
Yeah.
No.
Hoping to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just so weird how just all happens at once.
I
Yeah.
know.
You know, there's so many years where there's no
Where
activity.
no
But the
activity at all.
economy was also,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to buy a house in 2008, that was the time to do it, not in 2007 like I did. You just thought of those first time home buyer credits, so the first one you had to pay back, the second one you'd have, you know, but it's just so bizarre and just like a light switch, but
Yeah.
it's great. Great problem to have. Do we talk at all about like on the downtown district? Cause I know in our code, the whole first floor is supposed to be designated for, you know,
You're
some
saying-
sort of commercial retail or something.
You're saying the zoning requires that?
I thought so, or something, you know,
Yeah,
there's some
yeah.
verbiage downtown in this downtown district.
yeah,
Like
But
this,
that's overlay.
it has to be,
No,
But-
no residential on the ground floor. Is that what-
yeah.
no, they
well,
can, they need to have, it can be, I don't think that's included, but there does have to be retail space on the ground floor. So it could be a small
That's why the.
office
that
and then
proposal,
some other,
he's only gonna have it on one end of the building.
Well, and you didn't even want, they didn't, from my understanding, they didn't want to do it all, but they did it just to like
Okay.
meet the code and to satisfy this, but the
sure,
only reason I'm bringing it up is because you know, maybe that's, it's just something, a recommendation that could come out of this, that the city council or the planning commission look at, because if all the demand coming in here is apartments and they don't want to have first floor, are we willing to say, sorry, we're not gonna play ball with you for that? Or, I mean, and if not, then we should probably look at changing that wordage towards, that's not the expectation, because if I just come in here from wherever, and I'm just reading the code saying, well, we can't build a nursing home because it says we can't do that here. I mean, maybe we're losing out on all that stuff. Just because it's so restrictive, not that we can't be, but I just always looked at that as if if our code says that a widget factory can't be built in the downtown district and all we get are widget factories coming and inquiring, maybe we need to look at changing the code because that's what the market's demanding.
Mhm.
If all we can get are apartment type developments, but they're saying you gotta have whole first level dedicated to something retail or commercial, and they don't wanna deal with that. I think most serious people are gonna come in and ask for that to get thrown out, but I don't know how many people are just turned away. You know, I mean, we advertise for a city manager position and the instructions say put on a cover letter. If it comes without a cover letter, it just gets tossed.
Yeah.
You know, that didn't happen this last time, but in the past, that's how we've advertised it. It's just a way of weeding down. I don't know.
I understand, you know, if there are only apartment buildings coming in, you know, we think about changing the code, but we have a lot of new residential areas. And people are gonna want services that go with being in the residential area.
That's
I have a
true.
daughter who lives in Woodbury and she literally has to drive 15 minutes to go to like the grocery store.
Oh,
In
because
Woodbury?
They're so far away. It's just, there's no fast roads, it's stoplights.
So then maybe the recommendation is that, you know, we feel that it's important that the city stick to their current you know. I mean, I just bring it up just because it's like,
I mean,
it almost seems like we have these rules, but then we're willing to bend for this project and maybe not this, you know, let's just be consistent. Let's just say, look, given light of all this development downtown, it's more dense. We think it's a time to renew that commitment to the code saying you have to have the first floor or a percentage, something. Because right now, I'm pretty sure it says 100%. And that was an ask to have, well, we'll dedicate 3,000 square feet. Is that good enough? Well, hopefully we can fill it. Because I think a lot of developers, and I know, I can't remember the gentleman's name for Amcon, but I've asked him that question specifically, personally, and he just says these projects, look at Little Can on Main Street, perfect example. Nice big brand new apartments, the whole first floor is all retail. They struggle to fill it. It's just revolving door types of. And not just, you know, like downtown people talk, well, we don't like, we need another antique store, another bar, or whatever. Well, if that's what's here, great. But
Yeah.
is that what we're gonna expect? You know, we can't predict that stuff.
Can you check the code?
For
I
like
was just looking at it.
7th Street, just 7th Avenue from like,
Well, that's what we're talking about, this downtown,
Yeah.
all that area in pink.
but this is considered, Margaret's considered downtown.
Yeah.
I'm talking just having that commercial with just on the main drag, our historic downtown, which
Okay.
is 7th Street only, like somebody on Margaret wouldn't have to follow the rules and maybe have a commercial below. Just keep the 7th from like Henry down to.
Well,
You wanna
again,
keep the commercial.
yeah, I see what you're saying. I think the only reason I bring it up is just would it make sense to have a recommendation come out of this?
Yeah.
In the, you know, here's our core code language, verify if that's what it says. And then maybe say, you know, we're not asking the council to do anything, we're not asking the planning commission to change stuff, we're just saying, look, now we feel it's important, given the fact that all this high density developments going on at the city to maintain the unique downtown district. We highly recommend you stick with that requirement, whatever it is.
What if I'm not sure what that requirement is. I need to find it. Would it be desirable? I hear what you're saying, but we need to make sure that their business is.
Yeah, and one of the things that we were talking about at the EDA was Hillcrest is going to be or it's gonna be mostly majority residential. And those people are gonna need services. And where is the closest place? Are they gonna go to Hillcrest? Are they gonna go to Maplewood? Or could they come to North St. Paul to get some services instead of, you know, having to drive all the way down White Bear Avenue to Maplewood Mall or whatever? And not
Or
the mall,
Sunray.
whole business district down there.
But to his point, you want to make sure that you're not taking away development inadvertently.
I agree.
So we could investigate some sort of incentive policy that would bend the rules.
And you
certain
said you're
cases.
working on, like, because I suggest like a case study where we take a look at what we've done. I think that'd be a good example to show the Sentinel project and how that did stray from the city's. Like, I don't know what I call it though. It's like there's our city code says in the downtown district, you need 100% retail on the first floor. I'm pretty sure that was the requirement.
I remember seeing
Then you
something.
can show
different.
this, but here's a project where these guys came in and not only was it a complicated land acquisition, both public and private, but here we strayed from that. Here's the outcome and here's now what, you know, by that time, I think the guy will be moved in there and you can actually take pictures of it.
Right,
Max Diner and the
so Max, so that building initially, I think is what you're saying, initially it was supposed to have something on the ground floor.
100% retail.
Then they couldn't do it. So they built it anyways, and now they.
No, they came to the city and said, can we get rid
Push
of that?
the,
Because we want to have more, they have apartments on the first floor.
Oh, so they. reduced
Because that was
the
part of the
requirement.
concern, someone, an old council member Walzak stated, how can you live on the first floor, all those people? Can you imagine on the car show, you're right there, and the windows there, and
Yeah.
get out of the shower, and everyone's looking
Mhm.
in. Which is a legitimate concern, but it's also a concern about, well, why do you want to live downtown, but.
Yeah.
So they talked about the elevations and then just the fact that, well, this is why we want retail, so we don't have to deal with those issues, but the developers are just kind of steering us away from that, saying, if we don't get this, we can't make it work, but we can do 3,000 square feet. So that was like the compromise in the
Okay.
PUD.
well, and I'm going to say, and this is just me, because my family comes over here and we're looking to go out to eat somewhere. And we don't want to go to Olive Garden, Applebee's, stuff like that. And there's basically nothing.
Yeah, that new
In this whole
Brother
area.
Bistro is really
We-
good food. They're a little bit spendy for,
Well,
You know.
all food is spending.
Yeah, well, I think what you're saying is there is gonna be we're gonna have nothing down here because of the mall, all these places left. There's still places here, but they're not,
yeah,
you know.
I'll tell you
but
what, they
now
opened
all
that
these
3,000 square feet
people-
and you're gonna be waiting in line
yeah.
because there's a pent up demand.
And they feed off each other. That's
And
gonna be
somebody
great
else
for
is gonna
them.
go, holy crap.
You got now
We'll
wait,
get
we'll
another
kill time
restaurant
on
to
new
get.
ones and bodies. Yeah, it's gonna
This
be
takes
great.
one.
Yeah, all it's gonna take one is to be really successful. But you've got 100 townhomes, you got 128 units of apartment building that are gonna be up and running next year. And where are those people gonna go eat? They're not gonna be, I mean,
Well, hopefully it's not just DoorDash people. They don't leave the house.
And isn't there something in our ordinance about that we won't allow, like a Wendy's or an Arby's or some chain?
we tried to buy, Wendy's tried to buy that Hardy site. But that was a parking code.
And so, and now too, that's another thing I know other cities are looking at it, but they're looking at the parking requirements and there was like a formula, it was your square
Yes.
footage.
Yeah,
And so like Target, we talked about that too, where it's like you got this magnet to attract people, you have this gigantic parking lot. And it's there because the city imposed it be that way. And it's just vacant, empty land,
Yeah.
and then try to contact them and say, hey, would you guys be looking at developing? And it's just,
yeah.
they don't want it. What? Who are you? No.
And that's what I thought the retail space was, a certain percentage of the entire building.
Yeah, something. But I think we have laxed those parking restrictions, a little bit. I thought we took some action.
I
on
think-
the council level.
Well,
Because
yeah.
Eric's
I mean,
usually,
You can't have a normal suburban parking
Yeah.
code in a city that has no parking.
yeah,
I mean, that just doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, I think the important thing is we gotta be flexible.
Yes,
There has to be,
we have to have an
Flexibility.
opportunity, if somebody comes along and has another development like the Sentinel development, maybe we get 5,000 square feet of retail instead of like,
but we can't tell a developer who's looking to spend 20, what was this building here? They had, it's gotta be north of 20 million, eh?
Oh, for the.
$20 million,
Sentinel?
I mean, yeah.
That's what the value will be, yep, when they're done.
I mean, we're, because there was interest in that before, a similar type of thing, not as big, but it was 4 stories and they were told no.
No,
nothing
because that's our.
can- They were
ordinance.
actually told nothing can go taller than the spire on the post office. But it's like, we don't have any code that says that. This
No.
spire on this building is taller.
There's
So
a
it's just,
code for a maximum height.
and again, too, why do we, are we, you know, yeah, maybe this is a question.
Maybe there doesn't.
but
In
it's-
this environment, why would you? limit?
Well,
That's what I'm saying. If
For
we
commercial
have no-
buildings?
If there are limitations in our code that prevent redevelopment, especially in these districts that we've identified where there's potential for redevelopment, what good is that? I mean, I guess I understand you gotta have rules and parameters to live in, but if we're a hard no, nothing taller than 4 stories, that's not true. You know, is it? I haven't seen anything in the code that says height restrictions. It just deals with feet, not stories. But it's just something to
I
think
wonder
about.
if
there's some
residential is different.
recommendations that we could look at and say, hey, yeah, by the way, you know, maybe you should relook at your parking ordinance because we feel that's a detriment to future development when we're having these restrictive, you know.
is that mandated by state in any way?
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That would be very specific. So I'm capturing all this in my notes, but I think one opportunity or possibility for the residential offer them flexibility to limit their retail space if they're going to provide parking, underground parking for their building. Are they doing that with the Sentinel?
Sentinel's got underground.
Okay,
I think pretty much anything nowadays is gonna
have to.
Well, the one thing that we laugh
Because
about
I'm
with the
looking-
Sentinel building is that they're like 1 parking stall per apartment,
Oh, that's it?
Not quite.
a little more than that, But I-
underground.
but so, I mean, there's 3 people living in my house and there's 3 cars.
Mhm.
Everybody goes. So
Here's the
if you
other
have,
thing, the Sentinel, if you want to park there, you have to pay an additional fee.
Yeah, so there's could be people that live there that don't pay the extra fee for parking, that just utilize the lot outside or the street or,
Mhm.
yep,
but yeah.
where you may have to drive around for a half hour to find a parking
Yeah.
place for a resident.
And that, in my opinion, and this is just anecdotal, but I avoid places like that, cause I know
Mhm.
I drive somewhere and I wanna be able to park, I don't wanna have to park 10 miles away to
Yeah.
walk.
Well, Marsh Street doesn't have worse than parking
Yeah.
anyway, so that clears up that problem. So
Yeah.
you can't go leave on the street at night.
But yeah, ease of parking and all that stuff, it's
Well,
just a
you're
struggle.
gonna run into an issue because those people from Sentinel are gonna be parking behind K&J
Mhm.
in the public lot.
in the
Yeah.
public lot.
That's what they're
Yeah.
thinking.
Well, the most
Unless
convenient.
you're planning on,
Yeah.
unless the police department's planning on writing out a bunch of tickets for overnight parking. They have to go somewhere.
I wonder if there's a way for developers to contribute to a fund that could go towards,
Park improvement fund.
right, parking.
We already do that on that.
I think the arts and culture would be interested in that.
So they're able to get their own funding, so or donations.
Was there any document that would suggest that you need a parking structure at some point in the future? Because then,
We have discussed that.
I think there was a
Parking
study that
contributions
was
could go to
done
that.
specifically downtown parking. I can't remember.
I can look
Take
into that.
forever to get the money back on those things.
so I can look into it. It's
Yeah,
probably. in the
Well, it's a long-term plan.
Yeah.
Takes a long time to pay them, I know that.
Well, if you want people to come down here, you have to provide a place for them to park. I don't. It's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
You're getting to the point where you're creating that critical mass with all the residents that are going in right now. So this is an exciting time to start thinking about these things.
probably 8 or 9 blocks. And away from City Hall. And to the car show and stuff like that, we walk.
Mhm.
The only bad thing is that section from Mcknight to when the sidewalk starts on 7th.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to walk on the side of the road. But for the EDA meetings, you know, in the summertime, when the weather's decent, I'll walk to the EDA meeting instead of. But
Yeah, and that's where we talked about that connectivity and like, you know, where's the main arteries and, you know, having sidewalks on two sides of a road makes more sense on like night or, you know, busier road than like Chisholm up in by Casey Park, where it's just kind of like the only people walking are the people that live there.
Yeah,
And it's a struggle because, you know, I mean, look at a parking ramp downtown Minneapolis. That's always just looked at as prime development. They don't care. Get it out of here. We're gonna build a 40-story apartment complex, and where are people gonna park? Not our problem. They'll figure it out, you know.
well,
So it's like an interesting vicious cycle. You try to find more parking, there's no parking, and designated parking on that parking spot becomes desirable development space. And just, you know,
Okay. I'm hearing some good conversation.
I think there is a parking study that was done.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know when.
I'll look and see what I can find.
When the public works building was built, though, because at one point, they were talking about the school bus garage, the public works facility, have a joint facility, and it was gonna have a parking garage type thing set up to make that work.
Let's move on to the Commerce Park area. So that's the furthest east in that.
I think it would behoove us, or at least some of us,
Mhm.
to watch the Mcknight
Oh, shoot.
Century Highway 36. It's Wednesday night. Or is it? It's like 5 to 7 on Wednesday.
This one's.
Yes,
Is it
coming
a
up.
Zoom meeting too?
Yeah,
So they'll record that too, so we can post it on the website.
yeah. Because they're talking about, there's gonna redevelop Century from 94 to 694. And specifically the intersection of 36 and Century, which is in the development or the first Commerce Park redevelopment district.
So what, it's my understanding that they have roundabout up here and then a roundabout. Well, the sign that I saw.
That's the original plan, was to have a roundabout on the north side and a roundabout on the south side.
Where did you find the meeting invitation for that?
I read it in the Sunday paper, actually,
Oh, okay. It's this one.
and I do believe it was, there's a little section on MSN.com on the news section that has the Twin Cities, and there was an article in there, but it related to this Pioneer Press article.
I'll take a
So,
look at
I think we may mention too that in a city
Oh, it's on
meeting
your
too,
homepage.
but I don't know if there was like a hyperlink embedded in the minutes or the documents. I don't. Or maybe there was a link on the city website too.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
that. She showed me the
It's on
website.
Oh, you got it?
Yep.
Yep, so you're right, there is changes coming at some point.
yep, and I don't.
So- Is it division or century?
Well, Division,
Wait,
Century,
one
Geneva,
question.
120. I mean, there's like 6 names.
Seven roads. There's 7 roads.
Is it good?
That's the first law of business, pick a name, one name.
Yeah.
Well, it's a county road. It goes through Maplewood,
Washington,
St.
and-
Paul. It's White Bear Lake, so everyone's got their own name for the road.
No, I'm gonna leave it as.
Yep.
It's a good trivia question.
It's a virtual open house, 5 to 7 Wednesday.
Yeah, I thought if you're on one side, so if you're heading south, you're in North St. Paul. And so we call it Division. And then if you're heading north, that's Oakdale. Yeah.
Services professionals.
Yes,
We have to
God.
know- and we have to know every name of the road, whether it's got one name or 10 names. names. It's obvious. We have to know.
Okay, so
That's the happens to be the only road that's got 5 names.
So this area, I think, is kind of just a mixed bag. You've got a couple of open sites, you've got some suburban character stuff going on. I forget exactly what the businesses are, but you've got a fast food joint, a bank, I think, at the bottom.
Yep.
And is that where you've got your Boy Scout museum too? Oh, that's in your downtown. Okay.
No, it's on the other side of the street, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's on the other.
Just on the other side of 7th,
Yeah.
on the very south side.
Got it. So, yeah, you've got the same situation as other places in the downtown where your platting is not matching up to reality anymore. And you've got some alley right of way that could be vacated that, you know, if there was ever an opportunity to redevelop some of these sites, you could just clean it up at that point in time. So other than whatever comes in terms of, you know, the Century Division Street improvements, I think it just kind of.
Does the city own any land in that quadrant?
Yes, the northeast corner, the city owns that
Or
gas station,
Okay, yeah, okay.
but we acquired that because we knew there was gonna be eventually a Century, and we're hoping, correct me if I'm wrong, we're hoping that that will be North St. Paul's contribution to the project, or at least defray some of the costs. Because we'll just dedicate the land to the project.
Or we have to sell it for $1 or something. But yeah,
Yeah,
because there was other interest in that property and they're talking about tear down, I think it was a laundromat, investing big money, which, I mean, that's kind of what the deal.
Well, that was-
Coffee shop.
we
they
didn't
just-
want to have to
We don't
have
want
a
to do that.
business start there, and then have to go on a corner. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know.
I don't know if we own any other property in that area.
I don't recall that you do. There's an ownership map in there.
Then Washington County's on the other side of Division, you're right, right? Washington
Yes,
County starts on the other side, so.
yes, I think I did that.
Yeah, because that's the thing, that's where it was, that's what it took for a while, because when they were doing our St. Paul, Washington County didn't want to get involved in it, so that's all the names, plus it's 2 counties, so it's quite a mess.
Yeah,
So
so
where's
you
the
got,
county line in the center line?
Right in the middle of the
Division.
Century, yep.
yep,
So anything to the right is Washington County of Division, to the left is Ramsey County.
and then not only do you have Washington County, Ramsey County, but you have Oakdale and North St. Paul.
Yeah.
So
Where's Oakdale start?
Division.
The middle line.
Oh, and then
So the
Maplewood.
first part of Washington County is open.
Is that?
It does farther
Maplewood's
down Division, but
west.
not what's against me.
Oh, South Maplewood, yeah,
They got that little jut that goes down. And
yeah, South
it basically
Maplewood.
runs along Division. And
I thought, yeah.
I think the kids had to get 3M, just St. Paul was trying to annex.
Does that start at Holloway though?
How long does this meeting go to?
Not 9,
We 8 or 8:30?
I guess, are we 8? Okay.
That's what.
I was gonna say, none of the commissions stick to a time frame, so.
Opposite of time. I've got 2 other topics. I have this
Okay,
You go ahead.
and then
Yeah.
this. Well, it's really.
we should stay on topic though.
So I put this together. It was kind of a compilation of the plans that you have to, you know, in existence plus the things that have happened. So it's my understanding that you had some changes at some point in time. The roads switched when 36,
Yes,
something happened that you had lost connectivity.
Yep.
So you've got a cul-de-sac, you've got a new connection here at the anchor. Yeah, you've got pedestrian. I think this is your only pedestrian connection over 36.
And before this was all surface level, there's a stoplight on Margaret.
Right,
So.
And that goes right by the high school.
okay.
Is this right?
Gave me some, Robert was saying last time, he was suggesting the streets plan needed to be updated, and Morgan gave me some background that suggests, yeah, maybe he's right. So you had this living streets plan that suggested there was gonna be like this parkway kind of meandering through the community, and then there was some actions at the city council that suggested, no, we're not gonna put sidewalks in at these locations where this new infrastructure was happening. So, yeah, we might want to look at that again, but I believe these proposed bike lanes still make sense, because we've got a proposed bike lane going up Margaret Street, South Avenue, Sepulveda, and some of the stuff that is outside of the boundary. So there was.
Is that Helen or First that's coming down? I'm assuming the dotted line, the blue dotted lines
The
are
blue
bike.
dotted line is bike, proposed bike lane.
So that just connects up with the state trail.
Yep, and that's
Okay.
Margaret Street.
They
Yeah,
had,
temporary when they tried it.
oh, that's exactly what I was just gonna say. And was there a reason?
Temporary what?
Well, part of it was this, for the church, St. Pete's, they took all the parking away and they put the.
Oh.
Parking inside the street. It was quite a mess.
Yeah, so that might need to be updated then based
We
on,
did try for like 6 months or 3
I'm,
months.
I'm not following. Where is this?
Margaret,
There's a demonstration bike lane.
Oh, and so that's no dice.
And it basically went from 17th and Margaret, where the St. Pete's is, and went all the way down the hallway, didn't it? Or they didn't stop it
I
down.
thought it was stuck with downtown.
Well, in order to
Trying
go
north.
from my old house to my new house, I go through town. Instead of going down Mcknight to 17, I come through town. There's one light and one stop sign. But I'll tell you what, when you go by St. Pete's at about 4 o'clock, that,
Well,
Don't they have a parking lot on
Oh,
the
yeah.
other side?
yeah,
yeah, but the parents park out in front when school gets out.
Dropping on,
Yeah.
same thing with Richardson.
Yes, Richardson's on
They put
17.
19 signs down the road that says no parking during school hours, but that road is just full of cars.
Picking up
That's where
their
they
kids.
drop off and pick up.
so do you think that we do need to update that to reflect that we're not going to have a bike path
Well,
there?
Well,
that would be a different document, but so what I'm trying to do is figure out which recommendations should come forward. So if this,
I'd like to know who got the study so we can read that information, because the study was already done and see why they took it away and what happened. This one going up, Margaret here, we should take a look and see what happened with the study, because they drew the lines down, they got rid of the parking, and they had it for a summer.
And they put all these cones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it went all the way to.
so it wasn't
Hallway.
the city initiated?
No, it was,
It
we
was,
got
yes.
some grant.
Margaret
This
from
was
17th
by
to Holloway.
Oh, okay. So it was like a-
Why didn't it just go from the lake to Holloway?
Well, maybe it did some of it go up onto,
Oh, okay.
but that was the whole idea, like, we're gonna connect the lake
You have
through
that information?
downtown.
I can look and see if there is a study for that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'd be good information to have. We already tried it, see why.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that, somebody mentioned that, they didn't go well.
They put some of those too up by the high school, they were up, because I remember, because I was on a road cruise. We had-
And maybe that study reflects like which ones
There
it
was.
was fit for and which ones it wasn't.
Okay, that would be helpful to have. So
Okay.
that'll clear up what where bike lanes are appropriate. Otherwise, we've got some connectivity issues with sidewalk. So sidewalk is not fully, it's not on both sides of the street on 7th, and it looks like it stops on whatever is next to. So there's like a black line.
Yep.
That's the sidewalk.
Yep,
And then
that's
the
correct.
The dashed is where it should be extended.
Yeah.
And then I believe I didn't extend it on the north side because of probably hill.
And that's where that 5-way intersection, they're talking about putting in a
Another
roundabout
roundabout,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then extending those sidewalks. They just wanted to wait until that M&I project was done.
Okay,
Before they did that.
Yeah.
so the roundabout's still on the
You'll see
table?
where the road stops, where they tore out the road, it gets,
Yep.
as you're coming up or down the hill, it's well before that, and you can see where the sidewalks at too. 'Cause there's one
Well,
guy
that's
who's
where
got
I
the
walk
house.
on, so that's, I know.
One guy owns the house and the city owns that corner lot, and then there's that gas stuff that.
Yeah.
They said they could move.
The
And now
gas.
Ramsey County actually owns a little parcel and they're trying to acquire it via an auction and then turn around and sell it to us.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, so that's still in the works. too then.
So all that is like, whenever the rest of that stretch gets done, I'm sure.
So one guy hold out, or is he willing to do?
No, it's not. It was just the planning of like, where do we stop? You know, because we can't keep going all the way down. And
And you got the one's the empty lot over by Mcknight, right? That's not part of that park, is that part of that?
that's all the city owns that.
Yeah, but is that part of the park building we're talking about? Will that take some?
Well, yes,
Okay.
in theory, because you keep going down that hill. Yeah.
Okay, future stoplight at McKnight and South Avenue.
Yep.
Is there anything that you think should be added to this?
You say future stoplight in South, and there's already one there.
I'm not sure, is there? I
Yeah.
think that
It's been
recommendation.
forever.
came
They
from-
wanted to do a roundabout there, but then they added another light at the anchor spot, so I can't imagine them doing a roundabout there.
Isn't there,
That's not future, that's.
isn't there a
existing.
sidewalk?
Holiday stations on that corner.
Yeah. But isn't there a sidewalk that runs on South to 7th?
Yeah, up that.
And then
hill.
it stops?
It's on the one side.
Yeah, it's only on one side.
It's more sidewalk here.
You know, he walks.
Yep.
Not for long.
Nope, I'll be coming past St. Pete's
That's right.
from the lake.
Okay.
Stop, do confession, keep on going.
I go to St. Mark's.
Well, we'll work on this one for the next time. Let's talk about the redevelopment master plan. So this is the document that is going to take the character areas and turn it into your plan. So I was wondering if we could go through here and figure out broadly what maybe is popping out as a great idea that's still with the vision for the future and what does not. So anchor block will be out of play.
I don't think we would put a water tower there, because Morgan was talking about just building it pretty much in the same place.
Yeah, which part?
Tower park.
Tower Park.
Small ones then.
Yeah, sure it is.
They're gonna construct a new one next to it, and then when they switch over decommissioning, I want to take it down.
Okay.
So that park will be torn up for a year or whatever. Yeah.
So in your,
My son right next to there, she always would choose more kids out of the water tower fall and hit her house. I was always.
Well, I always thought there was water inside the whole thing. Here to come out, no, it's just up at the top.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that.
Oh, like, have you seen the new water tower they built over in Lake Elmo over by, what is that, 10? That's the kind they're gonna build here. It's called composite. So it's concrete that goes all the way up, because basically that just protects the.
Oh, so it'd be
shaft
different
where the
from
water
what we
comes
have.
out and there's like access, a ladder. And the top part is where actual the water sits, is it's gravity fed. But all that metal is just to protect what's inside of it, and that metal corrodes, needs to be painted in place. So that's why they kind of this composite type. It's concrete, steel, metal, and everything inside. Whatever. I'm sure they're using poly or plastic or something.
Learn something new every day.
Well, when I was in college, so years before, the college I went to, the water tower was on our campus, and it was the highest point. And one of some very ingenious college kids thought if they went in all around town with fire hydrant branches, they opened up all the fire hydrants. And what they were trying to do was create a vacuum that would.
Doesn't work that way. Were they engineers on this group? Wow.
Sorry, Brandy, we're getting off track again.
Well, I'm just trying to pick out what's changing from what's not changing. So there's, between 3rd and 2nd streets. So basically south of Shifsty's, there's senior housing proposed. And then more, looks like townhouse type of units. I mean, we're still thinking, first of all, what do we want to have in terms of an exhibit? Because we talked about this being too much last time, too specific.
Well, that's right. That map that you had on pages on
30 or
Yeah,
that kind of.
so maybe a little bit.
identify the districts and possible redevelopment.
Okay, zoom into that. Okay, I could do that.
Is there a way to maybe put the zoning in there?
I do have zoning maps in this document.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
So we've got the existing land use is one exhibit, the future land use comp plan, and then zoning. So with the,
So there is a map in there that has zoning.
not all together, but they are in there. So those exhibits were factored into the recommendations so far, in addition to the proposals from before. So I was going to meet with our landscape architecture team because they're the ones that would come up with this kind of an exhibit. This is something that's above and beyond what I've ever had to do before. So that's why I'm a little challenged by the prospect.
I don't know. I mean, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
it's too
what-
prescriptive.
We don't need it. It's not-
Yeah,
And this is, in my opinion, what caused a lot of that angst is that this map here, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of projections too, in
Where's my
terms of how
business?
much square footage that we would do.
They don't, can't even explain, well, wait, hold on.
Okay,
But I don't.
so maybe closer ups of what's going on in the districts with the different parcel boundaries. So we can see a little bit more clearly. And maybe some exhibits of what's going on in terms of on the ground now images. And in the old document, there was some character images, what you might like to have in the future, and I don't know if that's what you were saying you wanted to avoid. Unless, you know.
Well, I mean,
splash
yeah.
pad type images and that kind of thing.
I don't know. I personally, I'm against it because it's like, well, you know, where we're getting into predicting the future and trying to be all encompassing and not offend anyone. It's just like impossible. So why even do it? Why not just stick to what? Like, here's our map. Here's what has been developed, and here's what we're identifying for future development. We don't have to say, like on this map here is where it was saying in the purple there. Where like Shifsky's is and then where.
Yeah, office
That's what I
flex.
was saying, yeah, this big, fancy stuff. What is it? It's kind of like, well, that's not what happened. I don't know. Plus, if you know, previous mayor was big on like medical type places, you really don't need every time there's redevelopment, we're always talking about what we would bring in a medical type facility, but I don't know if that fits, you know,
Well, is that,
here, because that's the type of place, like, you're gonna build a hospital, you need lots of parking, and you know, I don't see where you're gonna put a hospital in downtown here.
Well, I think there, yeah, I don't think you're gonna get a hospital, but you're looking at probably medical building. I would think that, you know, we, there would be now that we have more people and we also have we're talking about new senior development. We already have a lot of senior development. So you have a geriatric clinic with maybe some orthopedic,
Core medical.
core medical stuff that,
Core medical.
yeah.
Well, the only reason you bring it up is just that whole kind of rifled approach of, well, this is what we want this, and everything, all our plans have it, it doesn't happen, it's kind of like, well, you guys failed, you didn't, whereas we're just vague and like, hey, this area is for redevelopment, we don't say for medical, for restaurant, for, it's
Yeah.
just,
And as long as it fits the zoning
Yeah.
code
you
for
don't
what
have to pick.
that district is zoned as.
I'd have 10 different businesses that I'd like to see come to town and then be different from everyone else's list. So you're just kind of getting away from that arbitrary opinionated thing and just being more vague and just any type of business would fit here as long as it's high density retail, commercial or housing or whatever.
So does that mean we need to check our code to make sure the proposed
Well, I see
district?
that.
Oh, okay.
But it is a very like nice looking appealing map, but
Okay,
I don't know how much effort goes into.
a lot of effort goes into that.
So, and that's a lot of time and money and,
Yeah, let's not do that.
If we had all those trees, I can guarantee that.
I would think something like this type of detailed map for Hillcrest or the Ford site, for those
Sure.
type of things where they know, like,
Yeah.
there's nothing here now.
Yes.
Here's what we're thinking.
Yeah, it's a clean slate, it's not trying to buy everything up.
Okay, can we, I'm pulling up the old document here to see what the next steps are in terms of what we have to do. But there's quite a number of chapters, I recall. So there's a whole thing on utilities, stormwater, parks that needs to be updated, transportation too. And I don't know to what extent the text is out of date. It's still loading, sorry. Oh, I do know that we're running out of time in terms of the goal was to have, I think there was 6 meetings on the books. And so April may be the last one, and there was also a desire to have some public outreach with the downtown
Yeah.
community.
So, yeah, there was some talk about extending, I think the new plan due date for completion is June or July. So
Yeah,
I'll have to,
Completion in June, July, public comment,
Okay.
or was it?
Well,
So-
I think you gotta always seek public comment before we have a completion meeting, just,
The full,
Yeah.
the
yeah,
kind of
ready to,
vetted by this group.
sure.
Yeah.
Comment, okay. And then public comment in July. So. These two.
and then it goes to council for final approval after the public meeting.
Well, we have to go to planning commission too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a crock.
So I
Sure, it'll
wonder,
all look a lot different come August.
so if we're sending out an updated meeting invite, how far out do you think I'll need to go with that being said? So if you're shooting for June to complete what you need to complete, or do you need till June?
Well, let's see, we've got February, March. I think probably April, May at the most.
Okay. Okay,
So that June,
Sorry. Oh, yeah, we could do that.
I can't remember what we talked about.
I just remember 6 months.
Oh, we
being-
did?
yeah, it was originally 6 months. Yeah,
So I don't remember if the comment was in June or
Well,
July.
no, that's up to, I mean, the EDA is going to pay for it, and I don't think they've
What?
set a budget on it.
What was that?
The EDA is paying for these meetings. And up for paying for updating the redevelopment master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we're also talking about doing a housing study,
Yes.
updating the housing study.
So is that happening before this? Because that could feed in nicely to this effort.
Well, what I can tell you about that is Robert wanted some proposals at the next EDA meeting, but John was gonna talk to him and talk to him about possibly having the people that wanna build in paying for part of those costs. So that might change when we'll get it.
Well, I think your comp plan provides enough guidance and flexibility that this wouldn't be before your housing study is what I'm thinking, without any issue.
Kind of nice to have a city manager now that we feel like we can actually move forward with that.
He's got a lot of background experience.
Redevelopment.
You know, service and charity.
Yeah.
They're set up a little different than we are,
I'm just looking at what this old document had in it, and it seems like that a lot of the chapters were related, or a lot of the text, yeah, is related directly to this and goes into detail about a lot of,
Identify specific areas.
yeah, talking about like the medical clinics and all the other changes. So if we're gonna scrap that, we're gonna scrap a lot of this, which could potentially move us a lot faster.
And I personally, visually type of guy, and you know, if you set a packet like this in front of you versus if it can be condensed down, and if a lot of stuff is redundant, we could just reference C, S, and even in electronic version, embed it to where we're referencing Steam Comp Plan section 30, page 3, just
And have a
so
link
people are looking at it, they can just click on it.
for all
It's a
exhibits.
much useful tool. Electronic, you can't do that hard copy, I understand, but.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
One thing I do like in there is the transportation.
Board members of the committees that are involved, like the redevelopment committee, those things.
More in the living streets, but
Mr.
the
Winning
more.
said 111 pages of insurance policy. Like, no, we just wanted one specific piece. It's like, I'm not reading 111 pages. Insurance speak.
Do you have minutes of the retreat? Is that something that happens?
Is that a closed session?
Jenny's typing it all up.
Oh, okay. So for meeting minutes.
I wish it was recorded. Cause then we could just send you a link and you could. listen
Yeah,
to
so it wasn't recorded though.
Audio.
Okay.
That was it.
And so
It wasn't
just-
live stream, it wasn't Zoom.
Okay.
But
So the discussion was on your existing bus transit or expanding?
We're just talking more about like multimodal,
Oh, okay.
particularly in the sidewalk.
Yeah, I'm confused about the sidewalks here. It sounds like you went through a period of anti-sidewalk and now we're kind of swinging back and let's do sidewalks. How does the public feel about it? Do we know?
They didn't want them and they did not want them.
They didn't want to pay for it.
Yep. And maintain them.
Lake Fire
well,
places, that
in
took
a couple of
forever
months,
to get
I
past.
think to answer your question, yes, there
Sometimes
was
it's not really happy.
split in the council, but there's also a huge split. But that was before the council said, we're not assessing for streets. It used to be part of the deal.
Mm.
You'd be assessed for street
I
project.
did it before I got my $10,000
No, and that was a hang up that the mayor said, wow, this isn't fair to these people. I said, I agree, and it hasn't been fair for many years, but we gotta change at some point.
Yeah.
You know, I said, put people like you, put in for a refund and see what happens. But if you're not willing to do that, then we have to move on. But I think that is gonna definitely change. But it's still now, well, now I have to shovel it, I don't want to shovel it. And that's why I kind of said, well, look at Bloomington, the city of Bloomington, huge city.
Yeah.
They don't have a policy that says you have to clear your sidewalk. We have the businesses down there, the city doesn't. So if the city does it themselves or contracts it, that could also be another thing that would be beneficial to the community as a whole. Because if you're handicapped, you're trying to get around the city right now, good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible.
Right.
And it is impossible to clear all the snow out too, but at least, we could look at things and
Yeah.
do it differently, but I think that sidewalk is still gonna be contentious. It's just a matter of sticking to a plan. I think if we come in and ask the residents, would you like it or not, it's not gonna fly. It's gonna be very difficult. We're gonna be back to split council.
Yeah.
Who's yelling around us? But if we have a plan that says, hey, you happen to live on a street where we need 2 sidewalks, you didn't have them before, now you're gonna have one, and here's why. Reference stuff like this, it'd be much easier to sell it to the public versus just yes or no, and who's screaming the loudest.
Maybe we could do that like with a traffic study, just say, we have this much traffic, we need to put a sidewalk in.
You know what? That'd be a good question for Morgan and engineers, but
I mean, then it becomes some other kind of thing. It's not, like a street that gets quite a bit of traffic, they don't have a sidewalk. But, a lot of these little streets, you don't need sidewalks.
I think there's some of that in the street plan, but overall, in the comp plan, sidewalks are highly discussed and valued in the community cafes.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Good discussion. I'm not sure we got where you needed to go, but.
It's always okay, but I feel like it's moving along in this.
you can't have go sit in a meeting without getting some kind of a history lesson about it.
Well, that's useful information. Every month I learn a bit more and more about the community. And then come spring, I'm gonna bring my bike up here and figure out where.
Let me know and we'll hit the trail.
We need paths.
Right? Yeah,
Where do you live?
I live in River Falls. So I'm a Scotty, I guess you'd say. I'm actually from Iowa.
The big question is, are you a Packer fan or a Viking fan? So be careful how you answer that.
Okay, so our next meeting is February 27th.
28th.
Okay. I'm not sure what I'm gonna get you for next time, but I'm gonna try to crank some stuff out for you. Is that okay? Alrighty then. And I'm gonna look into the ordinance that suggests that you can't have residential on the ground floor and figure out what's going on there
In the downtown.
in the downtown. And
The
then,
ones that did had some setback, I got away from it. They're set way farther back, because there are existing apartments downtown. People feel about.
could I ask one of you to maybe investigate the downtown overlay district and see if it's drawn in the zoning map correctly, because that just seems really bizarre. And if it is right, I think that we should recommend it be changed.
You can email that to me
Okay,
or Lisa. I guarantee you, I know a person who knows the answer to that right off the top of her head, and that's Lee Barton.
oh.
She will know. You could just email it to her directly. cut
I
it
might.
so- Yeah, she knows. I mean, she's been the chair of the planning commission for 17 years.
Yeah, it
She
seems strange.
knows, she knows.
I'm gonna see talker and because we're doing this week, we're doing our
Well,
election, so she made me advice, she was telling me I'm gonna do it someday. I said,
I
I'm doing
joked
just
around
fine.
with her. I said, if you don't want to be the chair, then you better show up to that meeting, because that's kind of how everyone does it.
To be
We were
vice
gonna make
president,
appointments
vice chair.
today. Who's gonna be the president? Well, who's not here? I'm not ready yet. Okay, everyone seconds on that. Hey, what I missed at the meeting? Well, you're now the chair.
Yeah.
They all voted and they looked, I said, well, I can't vote against myself.
That's why I always try to make every meeting, because I don't want to get appointed chair.
Okay, well, thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see.